Hello and welcome back to another unpacking session with Dr. Durrani. Today we're going to be talking about abandonment wounds. This is something I see quite often in practice, and something that I have gone through and have had to heal. And it's the hardest to get someone to heal from this, because it does take years of work. So let's first explore what is an abandonment wound. Before we get into kind of the definition of it, I want to get into the feeling of it, because I feel like most of you will understand the feeling of it if you felt it. This is a feeling of dread and anxiety and this void within you when someone distances from you or pulls back or leaves. This is a feeling of, complete abandonment, like they've left me and I feel alone. But what is it that you feel alone about is what we're going to get into. Often seen in folks who have a tendency to overattach to another person, whether it's a friend, a partner, a colleague, or become very kind of dependent on them, and without having a healthy boundary, right? So it occurs as a result of childhood wounds, very early childhood wounds, where the caregiver in a way abandoned the child when they needed emotional support, physical support, and they weren't there. So this can be witnessed in childhood cases where someone's parents were working all the time and weren't present with them, or they were emotionally closed off, or the parents were dealing with something on their own and the kids were just kind of left to fend for themselves. Now, yes, things happen in our childhoods, but it's our responsibility to heal from that. And it's, I don't play the blame game where, you start to blame people, because that's not going to get you anywhere in life, right? So we want to make sure we take responsibility for our healing and then find means to have a better and healthier life. So what happens in an abandoned wound is that you've now attached to someone in an emotional capacity. You are now you've given this person power over the fact that they play a certain role in your life, whether that is being present with you through your hardships. That could be so I need someone to lean on, and there's a certain capacity that you need to lean on other people, but the abandonment wound is kind of an extreme of it. It also is a way of where you are seeking validation, or you're seeking basically approval from them for a way of life that you're trying to live, right? So we see this often where a person is lacking their own approval. They are now trying to find that. So we call it, whether you call it external validation, external self-approval from another person, from an external source. And so you tend to heavily rely on this person for that, right? But this is misplaced. So this should never come from external sources, because they can always go away. It can be a negative relationship or a toxic relationship. It should always come from your internal self, which is coming from your self-worth, right? So these people also tend to have people-pleasing characteristics, which again kind of stems from the same root issue, which is I don't know how to kind of fend for myself, or I don't know if I can do it, right? And this comes again from that very childhood kind of programming, and then that's been shaped again and again till you break it. And so, well, I need my parent, I need them to take care of me, I need them to fend for me. Yes, at that point, absolutely. And unfortunate that, that wasn't there. But now as an adult, that wiring needs to be, in a way reshaped, because now you can fend for yourself, right? So and unfortunately we see this in people who are smart and driven, and they've done everything in life as well. So there's no kind of you would say someone who is doing poorly. We see this in all kind of cases, but it's a mindset, and then that's the mindset that we kind of need to tap into and kind of rewire with love and understanding. So what's in a sense happening, and this is by no means, my words, this actually comes from an excerpt of me reading this book by Najwa Zebian, and I recommend those of you who are on this journey to read it. It's called Finding Home. The way she explains the abandonment wound is so beautiful. is that she talks about the concept of home, right? So she talks about how we should have always held home within ourselves. And what happens in an abandonment wound is that you create home in another person. So you're essentially creating this safety space in another person and giving them the power. But when you do that, that also gives them the power to walk away, and then you feel this homelessness. And so that feeling, if you go back to the feeling that we originally talked at the beginning of the video, where you feel that void, that emptiness after this person has left, is that basically, in a sense, that you've given a part of yourself to them, and now they've walked away with it. And so what you're actually missing is a part of yourself. And you can house that within you, you can have that within you. And so when they walk away with that, you almost feel that void is what I would call self-abandonment or rejection, right? So it's a heavy concept. So I would really, wish for you to explore it with a therapist, but hopefully this is just kind of pointing you in the right direction. So what should we be doing is focusing on not abandoning ourselves. So I'm tying a lot of concepts together here, and we can definitely break them down in smaller bite-sized, or you could rewatch this video, but the concept of self-abandonment is what I'm getting to today. And that is where, you have given someone a part of yourself, an approval or whatever it is, and that needs to be housed within you. So you need to stop abandoning yourself. You need to, you are only there for you. It's your responsibility to take care of you, to kick your butt, but also to motivate you. And so when we start to rely on other people, and this could be even within like stable relationships, it doesn't have to be, it's not a healthy attachment style in a way, it's a codependent style. So we want to make sure that we have healthy boundaries within relationship spaces and for us. So if you have any questions, please leave them. I'd be happy to answer. Share forward this video to those who you think are suffering through this or might benefit from it. And I'll hopefully see you in another unpacking session.